Welcome to this episode of Red Lodge, the podcast. I'm your host, Jason Reimer. Today, we welcome Jennifer Drinkwalter, a Red Lodge resident and events coordinator at the Roosevelt Center in Red Lodge, Montana. On this episode, Jennifer shares her experiences as an adventurer and outdoor enthusiast. Jennifer also shares the dramatic story of leading the evacuation of nearly 300 cyclists from the Beartooth Pass during an unexpected snowstorm in the summer of 2015 with Cycle Greater Yellowstone. You're listening to Red Lodge, the podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Covering Broadway. Covering Broadway in Red Lodge, Montana has been a local family-owned business since 2002. Ryan and Chelsea Brazich, as second-generation owners, bring to you a one-stop flooring and window covering shop. Covering Broadway guides you from design all the way to expert installation, working within your style, space, and budget. Carpet, hardwood, LVP, tile, window coverings, and even hardwood refinishing. Covering Broadway serves both residential and commercial projects, new builds, remodels, and meets your flooring and window covering needs. Serving Stillwater, Carbon, and Yellowstone County, as well as Northern Wyoming, visit coveringbroadway.com or give Ryan, Chelsea, and the team a call at Covering Broadway, 406-446-4344. All right, welcome to this episode of Red Lodge, the podcast. Today, we welcome our guest, Jennifer Drinkwalter. Jennifer is currently the events coordinator at the Roosevelt Center. She also coordinates 24 hours of Elk Basin, Big Sky Gravel, Beartooth, La Femme, Red Lodge Bike Center. Basically, Jennifer is always involved in outdoor recreations. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I am involved in a lot of outdoor recreation personally and professionally, and it's a lot of fun.
And have been since you were young.
Since I was young, yes. Yeah, definitely got started as a teenager on a mountain bike. And
then from there, you have plenty of exciting stories to tell.
Yeah.
Going back a little bit, what led you to Red Lodge, you were at one point, you've always been involved in event director. You've served on recreational boards. Tell us a little bit about some of the things you did prior to coming to Red Lodge in terms of this space.
In this space, I was heavily involved with YMCA, and we had the Montana Marathon. I was on the board for the women's run, and which was just a wonderful group of ladies to work with. And then I also was at the Big Sky State Games, the commissioner for the triathlon. I think I did some of the bike racing some years. And so, yeah, and then we started doing more events through a cycling group, and here I am.
You started then a lot of that. We'll get into that shortly.
Yeah.
Now you've been in Red Lodge about 15 years. Mm-hmm. You served on the Beartooth Trails Recreation Board. Is that what it?
Yeah, BRTA, which is now Beartooth Trails. Yes, and I was on that board for quite some time. Served as president, was vice president, Winter Trails chair. There's all different roles I've played, and I'm currently still a volunteer groomer, so I'm still involved with the organization. Okay. Yes.
And you and I had visited a couple weeks ago about some other things, and then we started talking, and you told some very interesting stories. I'm like, Jennifer, you've got to come on Red Lodge, the podcast. It's new. We need exciting stuff like this. Yeah. We're going to get into eventually. You started a bike tour called Cycle Greater Yellowstone that basically was recreation in the Greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Tell us how you came about to start that and really what was your goal behind it.
Well, I was actually presenting for another race called the Grizzly Peak Adventure Race back in the day. And some representatives from Greater Yellowstone Coalition were presenting as well to the same organization. And they said, we want to start this bike tour. And this was about a year and a half before the first year, which was 2013 was our first year. And jumped in with both feet, and it was a wild ride of a week-long bike tour for quite a few years.
And then that was basically shut down because of COVID.
COVID, yes, shut that down. And so
eventually in the podcast, they were going to come back to a fairly harrowing tale that took place on top of the Beartooth Pass. With Cycle Greater Yellowstone. Yeah. We'll come back to that. But in 2021, I put in my notes, you came back with a bang because then you started Montana Tour, Big Sky Gravel, 24 Hours of Elk Basin, Beartooth, La Femme, Rough Cut. You became the events coordinator at the Roosevelt Center and helped start the Red Lodge Bike Center. Tell us about the last 4 years of all the different outdoor rec events you've run and maybe, you know,
Well, the last 4 years, so my colleague Kristen Hollum with Red Lodge Events, her and I started 24 Hours of Elk Basin in 2021. I started Big Sky Gravel that same year.
Okay, now take those two real quick. What is 24 hours of Elk Basin? Sounds mysterious.
Yeah, you ride or run for 24 hours over in Elk Basin, which is a BLM area about 27 miles from here. Yeah, and so a lot of fun, a lot of biking, a lot of running. You run through the night.
Are the rattlesnakes out?
They are out.
They are out.
Yeah, we have motorcycles help us run the rattlesnakes off. That's always fun. And Big Sky Gravel is a gravel race, and we do a 22, 50, and 100 mile. And that one is still running and going strong. And we start and finish that one right from town here. And so
And obviously, you know, the Beartooth Pass and Highway is a very engaging place for outdoor rec. You started Beartooth La Femme. Tell us what that is.
All women's ride on the Beartooth Pass. And we do it on a Monday in late August. And we get the ladies to the top of the summit and to the West Summit and bring them back into town. And we have dinner the night before, all of us, and talk about what the day has ahead. And we support them through the whole ride.
And where do they take off from? Right in Red Lodge?
Right downtown Red Lodge,
Right downtown Red Lodge. That's really cool. So Jennifer, obviously you're involved in a lot of events, but growing up, you developed a passion and a deep interest for outdoor recreation, whether it was biking, mountain biking, running. You were an Ironman triathlete. You did multi-day trail runs, multi-day trail rides on the mountain bike. Tell us about your growing up and how you kind of became an adventurer in this way.
I was in mostly organized sports, and then kind of got tired of it and saved money for a mountain bike, working a job. I thought that just seems like fun. And there weren't a lot of people that I knew that rode bikes, but I really enjoyed it. And I just started taking it out and riding it and just fell in love with the independence I had. And that was even prior to having a driver's license.
Now you grew up near Billings, kind of towards Lockwood.
Yep.
So would you take the mountain bike out around that area, around the rims, or would you come up to Red Lodge? Where did you find your...
Everywhere. I did the rims back then. I did come to Red Lodge and I would do Silver Run because that was really the only trail that you could ride back then. And then I rode from Lockwood to most of my jobs in Billings. So I just learned to ride a bike.
Is it kind of fun to see when you came to Red Lodge, Silver Run being one of the only trails, and you served on the Beartooth Trails board to see the explosion of the rec trails in the area? Has that been kind of...
I absolutely love it and I have a passion for it. And like when I was in early college years, when I was in Bozeman, and I would come back and ride here in Red Lodge and recreate here, obviously skiing, No, I have a passion to see the trail systems, winter and summer, expand for the locals and visitors alike, just to be outside, because I think it's the healthiest thing anyone can do.
Yeah, especially in this area, it's great. And you've taken that and developed many events around those trails and outdoor spaces. You had other hobbies though. You like to raft, yoga, cooking. You have a son, Jesse, and for a while you were a single mom, but now Brian's obviously your partner. And tell us a little bit about just your other hobbies and.
Yeah, Brian and I, we love to be out on the river, and whitewater rafting is a big passion of ours. I have learned a lot of self-care in the last year after I had my knee replaced. I've had several knee surgeries and ankle surgeries. And so that's kind of become a passion, which has kind of incorporated yoga and just taking care of yourself and the people around you.
And some of those injuries kind of ended your extreme recreation and as an iron and doing the Ironmans and some of the do you miss those, or do you now just find that you have other outlets that just keep that same passion
I don't miss
burning?
A single thing about running.
You don't?
No. I picked up running because I was I was a high school swimmer and a passionate swimmer, and trained lifeguards and whatnot over the years. So I love to swim and I love to ride, and so I picked up Ironmans and triathlons because of that. So running was the third wheel.
Well, and then you started, didn't you start Turn Pedal Burn, which became the Grizzly Peak, or it started as the Grizzly Peak Adventure Race. That was Red Lodge Mountain, skiing, biking, running. Tell us about that.
We started that, I think it's 2009 or 2010. And then, we wanted an adventure race in town that went from the top of the hill down into town, and we pulled it off. And I was involved in the first few years. And then it became the Turn Pedal Burn, which is now with Red Lodge Events, and it hasn't been able to go for the last few years though.
Okay.
So
obviously you're a leader. You have served with many organizations. You're a visionary, but you mentioned a interesting story. You were in grad school and had a friend. You were down in Utah, went to a concert, ran into her, and then all of a sudden no longer in grad school. What happened? Tell us about this.
Well, I was in grad school for my exercise physiology, and I just thought, well, I'm kind of bored and this looks like more fun. And her and I went to college together in Bozeman, and she was having more fun than I was, and I was jealous. So
she was at a ski resort working?
Yeah, we were at the canyons in Park City.
Do you remember what concert you went to where she kind of was telling you about how much fun?
Colobo.
Look it up.
They're great. They don't tour anymore, but they're out of Portland, Oregon, and they're super fun. But yeah, download their music. They're great.
So you left the concert and was like, and then spent the next 2 years working at a ski.
Yep. And I worked at a ski resort, and then I went back and began working, and I went back to the work after that in Billings. But I need a couple years off. Yeah. That was prior to the Olympics in Park City, so it was still really fun.
Very good, very good. Yeah. So before we get into this story about the blizzard on top of the Beartooth in 2015 with Cycle Greater Yellowstone, you're currently the events coordinator at the Roosevelt Center, which I just visited with Tracy Timmons this week. Amazing journey for the Roosevelt Center itself. But what do you do with the Roosevelt Center?
So I'm the events manager, and so there's a team of 3 of us there: Kat, Healy, and Mitch Laggy, and essentially, we do everything the Roosevelt needs to be done at the Roosevelt to host events. So we sometimes it's setting up tables and chairs. Sometimes it's completely coordinating everything for Main Street America. And it's a lot of fun. I feel privileged to be able to work there and be a part of that team, because this has been such a passion project for so many people. And I remember going there when I was a child from Lockwood School, because we would take field trips to Red Lodge. Okay.
But I want to come back to the summer of 2015. You had founded Cycle Greater Yellowstone. Yep. And in the 2015, how many cyclists were on this week-long? Was it a week-long tour?
It's a week-long tour that Greater Yellowstone Coalition did as a project to bring people through the Greater Yellowstone ecosystem. And they used it as education, fundraising, to make people aware of the ecosystem. So we started our first year was 2013. And yes, fast forward to 2015 was the event you want to talk about.
Yes, the event you want to talk about. And how many, you have 200 or 300 cyclists on
that year? And thank goodness it was 350. The first 2 years we allowed 700 cyclists. And then we pulled it back because of just how the towns we wanted to visit could not handle it.
Just the logistics of 700. I mean, the logistics of 350 sound pretty, but it's daunting. A 5-day tour, 7-day tour.
A 2015 year was a 7-day tour.
And you start where?
We changed it every year.
Okay.
2015, though, we started in Red Lodge and finished in Red Lodge.
Okay.
That was the idea.
Early in the week, you were in Absaroka. You went from Absaroka, and that's you told me that the whole week was kind of a little bit in terms of weather events was a little crazy. Absaroka to Red Lodge, that leg had what? Winds, hail,
wind, pretty hard rains. It was one of those typical. It was like it was always the third week of August, and looking into the week, we saw some tumultuous weather coming ahead, and
you're probably trying to plan if you know Red Lodge in this area, July, August is your great weather, but Red Lodge, you just never know. Like this morning in Red Lodge, we had 50-mile-an-hour winds, and now the wind's gone and it's raining. But you got to Red Lodge and you spent the night on a Monday night in Red Lodge, and the riders were going to go up over the Beartooth Highway into Cook City the next day. Is that correct? Is that kind of like the highlight of the trip, going over the Beartooth Highway, or not necessarily?
Oh yeah. A lot of people would seek out the year we're going to do the Beartooth Pass and Chief Joseph Pass, or other big passes like Pioneer Scenic Byway. Those types of passes attract the riders.
A lot of people, and these riders are coming from all over the world, probably.
Yeah, all over the U.S. and definitely there were some years you'd have people from other parts of the world for sure. Australia, wherever. And
your team, how you're coordinating this? How many of you are kind of involved in the day-to-day operations of making sure everything goes as planned?
There's probably a team. During the week of 12 people that that are leaders. And then there's around 60 volunteers working for those leaders. And then in each community, there's another pocket of volunteers. tossing baggage or whatever.
And you spend the year leading up to this, getting all of that coordinated, set up. How much do you, as you're getting into say May, June, July, and you're thinking about, okay, here comes Greater Cycle Yellowstone 2015, third year of our tour. How much do you kind of stress about the weather, or man, like I hope we get good weather, or is that you're just like it is what it is?
I used to stress about weather until 2015. Then I was like, you can't do anything.
You can't do anything about it. You just have to.
Actually, probably 2013, the first year, because we had weather that year, but it wasn't anything like 2015. But you get rerouted for fires, and it's last minute too. You get rerouted you get delays for weather. It's just, you just have to be of the personality, no matter what type of event you're putting on, whether it's a one-day gravel race. You just have weather and
gotta be ready for it. And I think most participants probably are aware that the weather could come too. But on that particular summer, on Tuesday morning, you actually announced an early departure for your cyclists. Why? What was the? What was going on there?
At dinner Monday night, we knew that there was a chance of snow at the top of the pass. It was showing rain the days before, but then the temperature was starting to drop. And so on Monday night, we told everybody we're going to do an hour early departure, which we usually did at 7 a.m. So we did a 6 a.m. Had everybody at least had their lights on. And then we got people going. And then if they weren't rolling out of town by 6:30, we wouldn't let them go.
Really?
Yeah. In fact,
Were there some late stragglers?
Oh yeah.
Were they upset? Like, no, you're letting us go.
I found them. Actually, they were at the Red Lodge Cafe, and we looked in all of the morning breakfast places too, like Pollard, everywhere, and we
like literally physically going around trying to find the cyclist.
We're like, where
if
are
you're
you?
going, you got to go.
You got to go, because you could see them. They'd have their bikes sitting outside. And so I put a few in a van, and I wouldn't let them ride that day. I was like, you didn't follow the rules. It's nothing like telling 50-some-year-old people what they can and can't do.
I'm tempted to ask a lot of questions about this, but I'll just say, I mean, it's probably easier to smile and laugh about now than in the moment when you're telling them, you know what, you're in the van for the day. And they're like, no, I'm riding, but no, you're in the van.
Yeah, no, you're in the van. No, there's a lot of that. And you just have to stick with your word. Otherwise, people don't believe you. And so I said, if the only chance that you're going to stay ahead of either this probably snow or bad rain up at the top of the pass at 11,000 feet, and is to start early, keep going, and then just get down to Cook City.
And the plan was to stay in Cook City that night?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So you had most of this, how many of the 350 got out and onto the pass that day, like took off and made the 6:30 deadline? It was about 320-ish. Okay, so 20 to 30 didn't make it.
Didn't make it. They were in vans and different cars, and they just went, we took them over. And
by the end of the day, those 30 probably were glad that you flexed your guns.
I think they were.
Yeah.
And so there was about 100 of them, of the riders, that rode fast enough to make it over into Cook City before the snowstorm set in.
Did they hit weather on the way down over the top?
They did.
Going into Wyoming?
Oh yeah, they all got rained on, but they weren't up high during the temperature drop, and they were able to go down.
And what people don't realize, for the listener, is that it can be raining in Red Lodge in July, and on the pass, complete blizzard.
Oh yeah.
When did you, that morning on Tuesday morning in the summer of 2015, when did you start to realize things were turning, that this might go bad for people on top of the pass, cyclists on top of the pass?
I don't know. I was at the roller pullout, which is after Vista, getting closer to the ski area, the first summit. And I could just really see, like, the rain was starting to really like come down. It wasn't drizzling anymore. It was like coming down. You could see things starting to turn to
like
snow.
Literally almost a blizzard starting to roll in.
And there were a lot of riders that you could tell they were making it. And we had a team ahead with them, and they were making it. And then the rest of them were not, you could tell. So we got everybody to second summit, which is the main summit. And
is that past the ski lift that's on top of the Beartooth?
Yeah. So it's the one, so the ski lift, you go down and then you come back up for the final summit.
Okay. Now there's a sign at the very top. Is it close to there?
Yep. Okay. Beartooth Pass summit right there. Okay. And it was snowing, and we had people that were like shaking, shivering. And so we just shoved people in every support vehicle we had. At that time, we had three vans. We always chartered our own EMS system, which I believe Red Lodge was that year. And then,
are you putting their cycles onto the vans as well? Are you having to leave some of them?
All of their bikes. I brought a picture for you.
Oh, well, and you know what? We will probably get this picture onto the podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah, you can have it. So what we did is that was after the blizzard, but we still had to keep the road. We had to work with the DOT to keep the road open so we could go back up and get the bikes and get everybody down.
Yeah, we'll put that up.
Yeah, it's an iconic. Everybody that was there that year knows that photo. But yeah, we just had everybody lay their bikes down, get in different vehicles, and then we just kept people warm. That was the main thing, just keeping them warm.
And then did you start to move them back towards Red Lodge then?
No, down to Cook City.
Oh, you went to Cook City.
Because the U-Hauls had already taken their luggage already. Right. So they were all set up. And then people had hotels in Cook City lined up.
Okay.
So if we would have come back to Red Lodge, it would have been a whole nother mess because, and believe me, that crossed my mind just to hold them in Red Lodge. But you've been in Red Lodge during the summer, and how do they get another hotel room in Red Lodge? And then it's just like this logistical nightmare. So we rolled the dice going to Cook City, knowing I had the resources. Our plan in place was, which is what we did, was to bike as far as they can, drop the bikes, and then get the people down.
How many cyclists did you have to get into vans and vehicles to get off the pass into Cook City?
It was a little over 200.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. I mean, you might not, that's
it doesn't sound like a lot of people, but the resources at hand in Red Lodge and Cook City to do that is.
Well, if you've been on top of the Beartooth Pass, 200 people up there in one spot is a lot. And to get them down, were there cyclists who were like, no, let me finish, I can do this? Or they pretty much,
some
no, this is getting bad?
Some people argued, but most people were cold. They were getting cold. We had several cases of hypothermia. We had one person that was so bad they had to be brought back to Red Lodge that year. And
were you when you assessed the situation and you're like, okay, this is serious, were you, how concerned were you about possibly someone really, really seriously being hurt?
Terrified. I was like terrified that somebody was going to like freeze to death or lose their life trying to bike in the cold. And that's why we basically had to stand there and say like, you can't bike anymore. You're done. And some people like they were layered up and they probably could have done it, but I was like, you can't see, you can't, so we just laid the bikes down and I said, we'll come back and get them. And we just got people off. There are some fabulous tourists that had they were scared too because they had to drive down in it, but they were putting people in their vans that they were touring in.
Just people who were on the pass were starting to help.
Yeah, they were starting to help, and just like I didn't realize how many of them were helping. I was like, gosh, this van isn't full of people. And I had, I'd have a van, we had them making shifts up and down, up and down. And all of a sudden people were like coming out of other people's RVs.
And at that point you're like, we'll take the help.
Yeah, we'll just take it.
Did you guys make more than one run, or were you getting vehicles coming up from Red Lodge, Cook City to help?
I had some vans and stuff coming up from Red Lodge, but they had closed the gate on the Red Lodge side at one point. And then we were working from the Cook City side mostly, but then we had a lot of resources up there because we knew it was going to fall apart.
I mean, using satellite phones up there, because the reception up there is not good. So you probably had satellite phones and other things. We had satellite
phones, and then we actually use ham radio relay, which works really well, like down into Cook City, all the way up there.
And while you're doing these evacuations, it's snowing, it's blizzarding.
Yeah.
I wrote in my notes, interesting, because we talked about the people who helped. I said, were there moments of kindness, humor, distress? Like what were some of the little things that stand out to you in those moments that, hey, that was good, or
I would say
or
kindness.
People were highly stressed, or
kindness. There was some stress for sure. People, and mostly probably myself. And then I know some of the EMS workers, because we were stressed. We were just stressed about people getting so hypothermic that they could lose their lives, And so that's stressful. But the kindness that people were just like, and the patience people were having, just to be like, I'm better off than he or she is. Take them first. Yeah. I have warmer clothes. I'll be okay. I can wait another 20 minutes.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're telling these stories, you can probably still see the faces of those people.
Absolutely. And like just that picture I show you, like that's a good friend. Actually, the person in that picture is the person I left graduate school to go.
Oh, really? Okay.
She was my friend Gretchen. She was a volunteer
for years. It all kind of ties back.
Yeah, and so that's actually her in the photo. She was one of them driving, like she was up there helping coordinate. You can see that her truck is there, and she was coordinating who goes. Like she was helping triage people, and that's what we were doing.
So you did have moments of unexpected heroes, people that helped out, and were, I mean, at that point, and again, like up on the Beartooth Highway, they're closing gates on one side. You're trying to get into Cook City. You guys had planned, I'm certain, probably to stay in a lot of tents near the baseball fields that night.
Yeah,
or where
the
did you guys
baseball
stay?
fields. And so by the time we got to Cook City, it was still raining down there, but it had lightened up, and we actually had some sunshine for dinner. I mean, people were like in their parkas, right? But they were in the sun, and it was kind of nice. However, the night we knew it was going to get into the low 20s. So I think there were a few hotel rooms left. And so some people transitioned to hotel rooms, but everybody, 350 people can't be in hotels in Cook City.
Right.
So people were in tents, and their bikes were full of ice in the morning. It was...
And they were
And by that time it was comical.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything was like frozen. We had hot food, right? And people were staying warm by that time. They had their tents and all their warm gear. And people are really smart on this tour for the most part. They bring a lot of warm gear.
Yeah.
They know.
Okay, so Jennifer, when you guys were evacuating people off the pass, how long did this process take? Like what time of day did it start? When did it end?
Well, the people that rode and made it over to Cook City, they left at 6 a.m., hammered as hard as they could. Those were the advanced riders. They were down and over by around 2 or 3 in the afternoon. The people that we had to work with, we started at about 10:30, and we didn't have everybody down till around 6 p.m. And when they put their bikes down, then we, worked on getting them in warm vehicles down to Cook City and to their hotels or the camp area. And then we took the U-Hauls, which had their baggage in it, down in Cook City. And we brought those up, and we loaded bikes in those U-Hauls. And then the DOT closed the gate as we
on the Wyoming side.
Yeah, as we came back through, because they were closing the pass.
Yeah.
We were up there.
Did you have to convince them that you got to let us through? We got bikes up here.
One of our ham radio guys got a hold of them. Yeah, and I actually didn't have the conversation, but they knew we were there because we have a permit. You have a permit with YDOT, the park, Montana Department. So yeah, they know we're there.
So about a 6 to 7 hour process. When did the snow stop? Like by the 5 p.m., 6 p.m. range, at least the snow stopped, and now you were just trying
it was no longer snowing in Cook City. It was just raining, but the snow line ended around Beartooth. Well, no, it ended around Long Lake.
Okay.
That was where the snow line ended. And so once we got to there, and then we were dropping people off at Top of the World Resort, having them go in, warm up, going back up, getting people, then bringing them back down, then you were triaging, right? You were trying to warm people up, then get them to another spot, warm people up, get them to another spot. They wait for you. And then the people that were in the worst shape went down first, and the people that could handle it stayed until we came back.
Wow. All right. So did you delay the start the next morning because of and they were going to ride now through the Chief Joseph Pass which is another absolute stunning bike ride.
Right.
And they were going to Powell or Cody.
We went to Cody. Okay. Yeah, we went to Cody that year, and then to Powell.
But then there was also some trouble getting from Powell back to the end of the ride, right? There was wind, 65 miles.
65 mile per hour wind. And actually the night before, it was so gusty. I think they recorded up to 80 mile per hour winds, and the tents were just going whoop, 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 on people all night long. Nobody slept all night. And so then we had to do kind of a mini evacuation out of Powell because people couldn't ride their bikes the next morning. First, they didn't sleep all night. Yeah. Second of all, then there were 60 plus mile per hour sustained winds between Powell and Belfry.
I can imagine. Been on those many times.
And so and everybody here has seen that kind of thing. And so we had to, we had to get 3 buses, and they made 2 trips over each.
So I imagine how many times this story has been told all over the United States with these cyclists. That point, not to throw anyone under the bus here, but what was the mindset of some of your cyclists? Were some of them kind of getting fed up? Or some like, hey, you know what? This is going to be a great story someday. Or were you like, oh my goodness, we didn't expect it to be quite this bad in 2015?
I didn't expect it to be that bad, but I definitely people. Now, anybody who was there that year, we laugh about it, but It was scary at certain points because that was also a year where we had several people end up in the hospital. And I think they were tired. And so they were making mistakes on their bikes. We had just some people go over their handlebars where, and it was just how'd you go over your handlebars right there? But they were getting tired because the weather was so tumultuous that year. Yeah. And then between Cody and Powell, we had 100-degree day. So people went from this like 28-degree freezing on the Beartooth Pass, overnight freezing, cold, beautiful ride on Chief Joseph, and then a 100-degree day. And so they were like all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And so somebody who comes from a temperate zone that's not used to like the crazy weather that we get, they were like, oh my God.
Yeah. And again, those who know Red Lodge or know this area, the greater Yellowstone, that we're not surprised by that. We're kind of
but it threw Mother Nature threw every
could.
coin she had that year. It was
and
like,
you remember it vividly.
Like, and actually what was the very first morning when we left Red Lodge from here to Joliet, they had thick fog. It started out bad. That was the beginning or the end? That was the first day.
First day.
It was the first day.
Ominous.
Yeah, it was ominous. It was like this. So now every time there's fog at the beginning of a ride, I'm like, I kind of panic.
I would bet though, there's many riders from that summer that look back and say, what an absolute adventure.
Yeah, it was an adventure.
Thankfully, no one was seriously injured.
A few people in the hospital, but yeah, everybody lived.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you continued Greater Cycle Yellowstone up until COVID 2020?
Yep. It went till COVID year. And then I took that next year to transition into my own week-long bike tour and the other single day events that we've talked about a little bit. And we quit doing the bike tour now officially in 2024. We did, that was our last year. And a lot of it has to do with the roads and the safety on the roads and the traffic.
Did you see, I mean, obviously this is a place where people love to come visit. Did you see an increase in the traffic from 15 to 24-ish?
Absolutely. So like our first year in 2013, I mean, we've always had quite a bit of traffic as, tourism and whatnot. But it was like Friday through Sunday.
Yeah.
And then so the week-long bike tour, wasn't too bad. You just so we never rode on Saturday. We always rode Sunday through Friday. And that kind of helped out quite a bit. But then it just got to the point where, and you can't put that many people on the road safely in Montana anymore. It just doesn't work. We don't have good shoulders. Right. And the speed's too high. Did you start
to get some pushback from local, like county officials and government officials saying, hey, this is just too much or was it more you guys recognized it and said, this is just too much of a risk for us to do?
No, nothing from the state or the county or local people. In fact, they all really liked it. Yeah. Good economic boost, and
fun to see. Like, I know we were part of helping with the luggage and it's fun to see those groups come in. It's kind of like, wow.
Yeah.
And
it's a safety thing for me.
Yeah.
And the people who played key roles around that were in charge of like the route ambassadors where they would place on corners. And we just had people getting yelled at on corners by inconsiderate drivers, and they're volunteers for an entire week. And what people were saying to them just because a cyclist was needing to make a turn, it was just, it was rude. And I don't want to put a negative spin on it at all, but that it was done.
All those little things added up to where like, this isn't something.
It becomes a safety issue, and it's just like it's inconsiderate to ask a volunteer to do that and get yelled at.
Yeah, for sure. When you look back now, what not to get overly sappy here, but like what kind of life lessons, what kind of takeaways have you had from that summer, whether the blizzard and the Beartooth Pass, to just your involvement in those kind of events? What things have you learned? What would some takeaways?
That people have amazing stories to tell. You get to know some really cool, whether they're volunteers or participants, in just getting to know people from across the US and across the world, like just the stories that people tell each other, and then the friendships you make. That's my favorite takeaway. Like I have some lifelong friends that are just amazing. So I get sappy thinking about them, and like, that's my favorite, that's probably my favorite takeaway. And then just patience and understanding for all the different walks of life that come together to enjoy an outdoor space and be on a bike on two wheels, and just that freedom and just seeing all these different people enjoy that together.
So I do, as we kind of get ready to wrap things up here, I do ask every person that comes on Red Lodge, the podcast,
okay, what
makes Red Lodge and the greater Red Lodge area a magical place to you?
A magical place. I just want to, I think it's the people that want to be here and take care of this great space, and that we have the privilege of being for whatever time we're here on earth. And like, that's the people that are here and that we get to share that with. Like, that's my favorite thing about Red Lodge. And it's not an easy place to live. So you have to have an outdoor passion, a people passion for this type of a place. And if you're going to live here, and that's what I like about it, because people are passionate and they're giving. Such a giving community and volunteer-based community, really, and that's what
you're in that space at the Roosevelt Center.
Yeah,
you don't seem you've definitely grown and learned a lot over the years, and all the things you've started, coordinated, been a part of. It doesn't seem like you're really slowing down much. Do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, different events, things that are on the horizon? I mean, I am. Or are you slowing down?
I am slowing down a little bit. There's some changes coming ahead especially with some of the events, and we'll see that happen over the next year or two. But the Red Lodge Bike Center is important to me to keep that going. That's kind of some of those events that I've done a lot over the last 4 or 5 years have been ways to fund the beginning of the bike center, which is now able to maintain pretty much, not on its own. It still needs grants, event fundraising, but the volunteer mechanics and getting the training and all that. So like, that is something that I'm not going to slow down with, but I want to maintain that. But I want to, like I said earlier, I'm privileged to be at the Roosevelt, and I really enjoy that. And so some of that kind of stuff is not going to change. I will not be starting any new large multi-day events in the future.
I believe you for now, and we'll see. No,
we'll see. I don't know.
What's really cool, Jennifer, I'm not just
never
saying
say
this,
never, I guess,
is that intertwined through your story of being an outdoor enthusiast, doing recreation, doing these events, is that you've also, parallel to that, done a lot of volunteering. You've like the Red Lodge Bike Center, things that are helping other people along the way to get them involved. And I think that's a very admirable, and our community appreciates it. I know many people speak highly of you, and you've been a staple here in just helping bring awesome, fun recreation events to our community. We appreciate that.
Well, good. I'm glad people enjoy it.
Yeah.
We have fun, and I know that there's a lot of people involved to put these on, and I can't name one person without naming hundreds. But they know who they are, and they would not happen without them.
Definitely.
So,
well, we really thank you for coming on our podcast today.
Yeah,
and
thank you.
Maybe we'll have you on again sometime, because you have plenty of stories to tell still.
There's wild stories everywhere.
Yes. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Red Lodge the Podcast. Follow Red Lodge the Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.